Good morning, all of you. Today we will extend to yesterday's lecture, and we will start with extending what we have already done in yesterday's session. We were on to one-dimensional arrays, where we discussed that a one-dimensional array is nothing but a vector which has only one dimension, and that uh, it is a contiguous data structure where the elements or the data values are stored in continuous or contiguous memory locations. We also studied that the arrays will have the elements, all of which are of the same data type. For example, if we have an integer array, or if we have a character array, or if we have a floating point array, that array, all the elements of that array must be of the same data type. All right. Now, today we will build up on yesterday's topic. What is the output of the following program? Now, this program will print the value of x as 10 and not 5. The reason is because when the value 10 is assigned to the variable x, the value 5, which was previously stored in this memory location, is overwritten or lost. Fine? Now, the ordinary variables like x are thus able to only store one value at a time. Initially, this x was holding 5, and then now this x is holding the value 10. Now, there may be situations in which we would want to store more than one variable at a time, or more than one value in a variable at a time. We don't want to lose this previous value. We don't want the new value to overwrite another value. In fact, we need both these values. There may be situations like this. Okay. For such situations, we use nothing but arrays. Okay. Now, let us come to this, where we need to find the average of a certain number of values. Let this be a program where we have to find the average marks obtained by a class of 30 students in a test. Okay, say there are 30 students in a class, and all of those 30 students undertake a test. Now, we are supposed to find the average marks obtained by all the 30 students. What is the average of the class? This is the question. So let us begin analyzing this program. Now, average and sum, these are the two normal variables, and I, normal variables which will hold integer data types. There is a variable by the name marks, which has an index attached to it. This variable, of course, is nothing but an array. Now, this statement here, integer marks 30, this statement is array declaration, as we did yesterday, where integer describes the data type of the elements that will be stored in marks. Marks indicates the name of the array, and 30 is the size or the index of this array. So this is array declaration, as we did yesterday. Now, once the array is declared, let us see what happens, how the elements for the array are entered. I told you yesterday that when we declare the array, we have two options. Either at the time of declaration, we could have given all the 30 values, or else the second is that we enter the values at runtime. Now, this highlighted part of the code enters the element in the array. Now, this is how it is done. We write, just look at the scanf statement, which says enter a integer value at the ith location
of this array. I repeat, the scanf statement says enter a decimal or an integer value at the ith location of this array. Now, because this statement scanf is rotated inside a for loop, as we can see, where the for loop ranges from 0 to less than 29. Now, where did this 29 figure come from? I discussed yesterday with you that because the first element of an array is always 0 and not 1, we begin with the 0, and therefore 30 spaces or 30 indices will end at 30 minus 1, that is 29. Once this code starts running, when I is equal to 0, we will have scanf statement storing the value at the 0th location of the array, then at the first location of the array, then at the second location, and so on till I reaches 29. And this for loop ends. Now, again, for the next part of the highlighted code, let me tell you, this part of the code reads the data back out of the array. With this part of the code, we entered elements in the array. With this part of the code, we will read the elements out of the array. Okay? Now, what do we do? For loop is much the same. It's much the same. It starts with a 0 and ends with 29. Okay? Now, here we are not trying to enter as we were trying to enter in the previous for loop. What we are trying to do is we're trying to add these marks of I. That is I at 0th location, what is stored at the first location, what is stored at the second location, and we are adding it to a running total. Now this sum is a running total. From this statement, we can easily see why did we initialize sum to 0? Because for the first statement, it should not contain a garbage value. For the first instance of the loop, for the first iteration of the loop, this is going to be 0 plus whatever is stored in the 0th location of the array. Fine. And because we do not have a curly bracket after the for loop, this is the only statement which is associated with the for loop. The entire loop will run, and whatever is added to this running total will get stored here. Now we will find the average. Average is equal to whatever is stored here, that is sum divided by 30. This is how we will access the array elements, declare the array elements, and finally read out the array elements. Okay? Now, let me also show you how we can do this. It is very easy to be done once you open the online compiler that I shared with you. That's the online GDB, gdb.com. It's an online C compiler. Very, very easy to use.